Okay, so in this one, generally what we have, what kind of question are asked? Suppose we have a tap and रेगुलर इंटरवल मतलब फिक्स्ड टाइम पर. Okay, देखिए, what we are going to do is vertical motion of objects falling at regular intervals. Means you have the more than one object and they are falling at regular intervals. For example, if you have a tap and the water droplets are falling like this at regular intervals, suppose they are falling at an interval of time t. So you need to find what is the location of first drop, what is the location of second drop, when the fourth drop is being detached from the tap. So these kind of questions are asked. So what we can do is, see, suppose time interval is t. This is the time interval between two successive drops. Time interval between consecutive drops. So if a particular drop is being detached from the tap, then the previous one will be at a time gap of time t, and the one more drop if you consider, then that will be a time gap of 2t. So how much the first the previous drop has fallen? So we will write it like this: when nth drop is detaching from tap, when nth drop is detaching from tap, n minus 1th drop position will be equal to half g, because see, if nth one is here, then n minus 1 is here, so that is at a gap of time t, so half g t square. Similarly, n minus 2th drop will be g by 2 and the gap is time 2t, so 2t square. So this is suppose n minus 1, this is n minus 2. Similarly, n minus 3th drop will be g by 2 3t square. So like this we can keep on writing, and you can see that the positions are, the position of the drops are that Sn is 0, Sn minus 1 is half gt square, Sn minus 2 is 4 times half gt square, Sn minus 3 is 9 times half gt square, Sn minus 4 is 16 times half gt square. Like that it will keep on going. And if you take the ratio of this, the gap these two is what? Half gt square. These two gap is 3 times half gt square. This one is 5 times half gt square. So like this we can keep on writing. This gap is 7 times half gt square. So like this the gaps are increasing between the drops. So you can see in the diagram also the gaps will be like this, and you can find the ratio. Suppose these gaps are named as delta S1, delta S2, delta S3. If you name it like this, then the ratio is 1:3:5:7:9. It will keep on going like this. So the gap between consecutive drops are in ratio 1:3:5:7:9, and the first two drops will have, if the gap 1, then second next two drops will have gap 3 times of the first gap, then next 3 drop will be having 5 times of the first gap. So like this we can understand it. And if you are given the time also, suppose the time is given, suppose 1 second, so you can find the exact value also. So if I'm giving an example, if t is given suppose 1 second, then the s, suppose we are taking 6 drops, so sixth one is suppose 0, then s fifth one will be half into 10 into 1 square, so that is 5, so it will be 5 meter below the tap. S fourth will be half into 10 into 2 square, so that will be how much? That will be 20. So I am explaining it again. See, you can see that, see what is happening, that we are having a tap and the water drops are falling at regular intervals, at regular interval of time t. If nth drop is about to fall, the n minus 1 drop is in the air, then n minus 2 drop is also in the air just below the n minus 1, and if you want to write the position of these drops, then you can write for nth drop it will be 0, and n minus 1 drop it will be half gt square. For n minus 2 drop it will be half g 2t square. Similarly, g by 2 3t square, like that. We can keep on writing like that, and we have written the positions of different drops with respect to tap. So that will be 0, half gt square, 4 times half gt square. Why 4? Because 2t square. 4 times half gt square. So that's why. Then this is 9. Why 9? Because this is 9 half gt square. So keep on doing like this. And if you write the gap is half gt square. Gap between these two, gap. Then these two gap, the gap between these two. This is delta S1. This is delta S2. This is delta S3, like this. So delta S3 is how much? The delta S3 we have written 5 half gt square. So like that we can keep on writing. So if you take the ratio of different gaps, they are in AP. 1 ratio 3 ratio 5 ratio 7, like this. And now we are taking a particular case of time period 1 second, suppose. So in 1 second, and we are taking 6 drops, and consider and take example of 6 drops. 1 second and 6 drops. So if 6 drop is at 0 position, means near the tap, then 5th drop will be at a depth of 5 meter from there. Then 4th drop will be at a depth of 4 meter. 3rd drop will be at a depth of how much? 45 meter. Then 2nd drop will be at a depth of 80 meter, and 1st drop will be at a depth of 125 meter. So you can find, you can have this value like this, and the delta, the gap. So S6 minus S5 you can see that is 5. S5 minus S4 you can see that is 15. S4 minus S3 you can see that is 25. S2 minus S3 that is 35. S1 minus S2 that is 45 meters. So in this way you can understand the gap is increasing in GP. Okay, so this was the if